Yay, welcome, welcome. Glad you are all here for how to make short videos that get noticed. I'm glad you're here today. Welcome. And if you've ever thought about using more video in your marketing, especially at trade shows, anybody got a trade show coming up? You are in the right place. And sometimes the thought of videos can be really nerve-wracking, and it might feel hard to know where to start, hard to know what to say, how to know what equipment to use, or it just feels daunting. So we're going to spend 20-ish minutes right now. And I've got two friends and super pro guests on here, and we're going to get into exactly what you need. When you leave, you're going to have several takeaways, and we're going to have time for Q&A at the end, and we'll also go into the speaker rooms after to continue the discussion. So, all right, I am here with Simon. Hey, Simon, how are you doing?
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are.
Nice. And over to you, Neil. Hey, how are you?
Thank you, Cindy, and welcome, Simon, and welcome, everyone. I don't think I've ever been introduced as an expert before, so I'll take that. My job really is just to show everybody here, give everybody a brief tour of the platform before we get into the conversation with Simon. So I'm just going to share my screen. If you're driving, please keep an eye on that road there and not this, but most of you on your browser should see something like this. This is our event environment, the map. You use this map really to navigate. Once we've had the main conversation with Simon, we've created a special room for Simon to go to if you want to continue the conversation with him or me or Cindy, of course. All of us at the moment are on the main stage here. And here we are. We're all listed, so you can see everybody in the main stage. Once we've been talking for about 20 minutes, as I said, we'll invite you to continue the conversations. And it's very simple to move from the main stage to, say you want to speak with Simon, you just either on the map, click on Simon's room icon, or on the left-hand side, click on speaker room. I won't do it as I'll disappear. You'll then open that Zoom link and you'll be invited to leave this current Zoom that we're on, and you'll automatically join magically in another location. So that's we'll remind you how to move again at the end. Please feel free to use the chat during the conversation to put your questions there, but we would encourage you to hang around after the main conversation and have those conversations in person in Simon's room, I hope. But if you're desperate, you can come and speak to me, of course. Right, so let's get this started. Anyway, Simon, thanks so much for giving up your time, because there is a small trade show, I believe, coming up in a couple of weeks. And you are and have been incredibly busy. And I believe in a couple of days' time, you're doing KitPlus's sort of main pre-IBC offering. Maybe you can just tell our guests a little bit about that.
Yeah, so thank you, Neil. Thank you, Cindy, for inviting me. So yes, we've been at various trade shows since IBC 2011, when as a magazine, we were previously invited onto exhibitors' booths to make notes, and to and a lot of these exhibitors, most of them were represented by excellent PR companies. So we'd already had the news inundated. So we decided we wanted a different way of doing things, which basically involved taking a camera onto their booth, doing a quick interview, and then sharing it with our audience. So we've been doing that since 2011, and we've amassed over 2,500 booth interviews since then. And those can be either an interview where the exhibitor is talking to us rather than talking to camera, or it can be a marketing person talking to a salesperson together. They can talk to camera. We've recorded mini panel sessions on booths. So we tend to be, these days, we tend to be more of a crew for hire with a specialism, if you like, with doing the interviews on booths. And one thing we sort of wanted to do, and I guess a lot of things have happened over the last 3 years, brought on by necessity often. And I think if you spoke to people 4 years ago about how you do your meetings with your customers, chances are it'd be a phone call or in person. Probably now it's Teams, Zoom, Google Meets, or some sort of video call is what we've got used to. And I think back 4 years ago, if you'd had that, a lot of people would hide their camera, or they'd they wouldn't be so comfortable appearing in front of camera. And all that's obviously changed now, because we sort of had to in 2020, 2021, to some part 2022. But leading up to the cancelled shows during COVID, we wanted to give exhibitors that would have been at the show, wanted to give them some platform to, if IBC or NAB had been going ahead, this is what we would have shown. So we did that over COVID, and I think we interviewed about 350 exhibitors over that period through a virtual environment. And then it came to me, I tend to find cycling is a good way to zone out and just think about thoughts. And I enjoy cycling. One of the main reasons I go to Las Vegas, if I'm truthful, is to go cycling before the show. But I was thinking, why don't we, before IBC 2022, why don't we do a 12-hour live marathon where we interview as many people as we can, give them 5 minutes each, elevator pitch style stuff, and we'll do that. And my good colleague Matt went along with it. And with the help of Marketing, actually, and IBC, we got this together and it all worked fine. So we did a similar one for NAB, and we're about to embark this Thursday on our IBC 2023.
So Simon, that will be another 12-hour epic.
I'm not allowed to do 12 hours again.
Century.
Matt said that we're a bit like a married couple, and Matt said he would leave me if we do another 12-hour marathon. So it's from 9 o'clock UK time till 6 p.m. UK time.
Well, I wish you all the best for that. I'm very keen that we get into this.
It started, yeah.
But talking about an epic, but lots of short videos involved in that, and seeing the theme of this is, how to make short videos and get yourself noticed. I think that was the best segue I could find there, Simon. But thank you for that, and good luck for Thursday. I think I just really want to hand over to you, Simon, because you had some really great key top tips, as it were, that you wish to share with the audience. So the floor is yours, Simon. So please.
We come across manufacturers, dealers, and distributors all the time that are going to make a channel. We're going to make a video. We must get around to doing this. And there's often a resistance to make short videos part of your media presence. And it does require some sort of mindset shifts and strategies. So I thought I'd sort of share, I've prepared, because we need to be prepared. I've prepared 10 key points really that we could possibly think about to get us motivated to do this. So I think the first thing is really, you've got to define your purpose for creating the video in the first place. We've got, scarily enough, under 3 weeks to IBC now. So you've still got time, plenty of time, but we need to decide, is our purpose is it to showcase a product release? Is it to share news? And as soon as you've got a clear purpose, it's going to give you more motivation to do it. So we know we've got 3 weeks till you're going to meet all your customers at IBC, and we might want to share some news, give them a few teasers why to come and find us. So it can be overwhelming, because you can sometimes overthink it. And I think as soon as you start to overthink it, you're probably not going to bother doing it, because it's just, it's too much to think about. So I think if you start short and simple and break the process into smaller tasks, you might want to script it. I'd always, with scripting in mind, I'd always say, never read in front of a camera, because the audience will see your eyes going backwards and forwards, and it's awful.
Oh my gosh, I want to underscore that. You are so spot on with the not reading. I'd rather they put like a bullet point on their hand. I've done that, because don't read. Absolutely.
And I think you are probably the world's biggest expert in what you're about to say. So you don't need it written down. You know your stuff. You just need to say it as if you're explaining it to your grandmother what you do. And that's often a good way of thinking about it, that, with no disrespect to your grandmother, because she could work for NASA, but the chances are She doesn't, and she needs it explaining in a level that appeals to everybody. So scripting, yeah, as Cindy says, bullet points is good. You've got the recording, and then you've got the editing, and then you've got the sharing. Because ultimately, if you're going to record it and edit it and do nothing else with it, you've just wasted your time. So you've got to think about how you're actually going to get it out there finally, and just tackle one of those things at a time. And don't forget, I think the important thing is, don't forget that everybody started somewhere. So and the more you do of these things, the better the outcome is going to be. So don't expect your first one to be given an Oscar. And then if you're looking to grow your channel, you're gonna probably have to make more than one video. So I would always say, before you embark on this adventure, think about a list of topics and themes for your videos in advance. It may be you can record 4 at once, and then you can
batch
over. Yeah,
so you can batching when you're.
Yeah. Pick a day when you're looking good, you're feeling great, and okay, I'm going to do 6 all today, and you record all 6. And assuming they're fairly timeless, you can play those out over the next 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months. So
I like the timeless, like the kind of evergreen approach where you can keep using it at different times. That's a brilliant way to do it. Yeah.
Can I just ask on that question? Because I also think it's, to extend the shelf life of the messaging, as it were. Simon, what do you think about, for example, IBC in 3 weeks' time, and somebody wants to do something and goes, here I am at IBC 2023, it immediately sort of dates that content. But do you have any thoughts for the newcomer to video content?
Well, I guess from our point of view, we as the crew for hire would want that, because yes, then they can't use it for NAB. But really, we do often actually, it's a serious point, and we do often get marketing people on the booth making sure the interviewee doesn't mention the show. So we would just start it, we're here with Cindy, and what have you got to say? And we don't mention the show at all.
You're happy, Simon, to take sort of direction from the
absolutely
client. And I guess that comes with confidence as well, doesn't it? The more they do it, the more they're able to kind of sort of dictate.
I mean, to be honest, the chances of somebody using the entire video again is unlikely. So normally the intro and outro people are happy with, but they don't like the talent, the interviewee. They don't like them continually referring to IBC, because you might want to take a little short 30 seconds out for social media, a little snippet you might want to reuse and repurpose. And we always give the companies that we work with, we always give them the raw footage afterwards. So they're free. Obviously, we give them an edited, clean version, which ready to go. But we also give them a raw version that they can cut and hack about a bit. And if it's littered with IBC comments the entire way through, it does restrict what they can do with it. But no, that's a good point, and it does come up.
We do that a lot. We'll take your content. So we're working with somebody now where we're working on 12 months of social content. And we've got videos that you shot, Simon, and we use it for 12 months. And just make a little snippet from the interview and sometimes a clip, but sometimes the full video and then a little quote, and use that in social, and we roll it out for 12 months. So batching and evergreen content, I think what you said there is brilliant.
Yeah. And I mean, our average viewing time, bearing in mind we've got, I don't know, nearly 3,000 videos on our channel, average viewing time for our booth interviews is 2 minutes, 23 seconds. So a key point, which I think we're probably skipping ahead, but if you are interviewed on camera, don't waste the first 30 seconds talking about what you did at the bank holiday weekend and how wonderful it is to be at a trade show. How wonderful is it to be back? At this moment in time, I don't care. I want to know what product you're releasing at this show and what's important to you. So get all the really juicy stuff in the first 30 seconds, because that's when the audience is going to drop off. And then after 2 minutes, 23 seconds, you've lost at least half of them. So, you need to work out, if you are being interviewed, you need to work out what you're talking about. And it's also, that's why we always encourage people, and it's why we've gone away from we'll do one interview or we do 2 interviews. Now we do 30 minutes on a booth, and you can do as many interviews as you want in 30 minutes. The idea behind that is we want one product for one video. So it's short. You can optimize it for search engines really easily because the title is the subject, rather than a title that is highlights of products from XYZ at IBC. Nobody's going to Google search that. They're gonna search a product, or they're going to search a particular thing. So I mean, that's skipping ahead a little bit. Just try and just go back to where I was. If you're trying to create a channel and to grow it, you're going to have to be adding content consistently. And that might be you recorded your 30 videos in one day and you play them out over the entire year. Doesn't matter. As long as your audience get used to new content being regularly added, they're more likely to engage with you and subscribe, and you're going to grow your channel that way. Aside from the booth interviews, we do a weekly news roundup show. We basically say we can do 30 shows per year. So we know in January we have to diarize 30 shows. And because it's a news show, we can't do 3 at once because it's news. We have to do 1 at a time. And they do take a bit of preparation. But if we didn't do that, we'd probably get to October having done about 4 or 5. They, oh God, we're going to have to do 20 in the last month. So we have a regular schedule. And I think also you want to think about, if you are going to do that, you want to think about continuity. So if you're going to do 6 in one shot, you might want to bring in 5 spare shirts or 5 spare tops, because you don't want your audience to see you in the same clothes time and time again. So if you're going to do batch filming, we'll call it, then try change your clothes. And I mean, we have had people who grow a beard literally over a season. Because that's how long they've left it. You can, I mean, again, if you want to have total flexibility, you can buy a pop-up virtual green screen, and with very little knowledge, you can key that out, and you can have a chosen background for every different one, and it gives you a bit more flexibility. I guess it does require a few more skills because you need to be able to key that out and edit it. But actually, it's a fun thing to play with. And you only got to see in lockdown the number of people that had never played with virtual studios or virtual production at all. Suddenly, LinkedIn is littered with people having more fun with it. So definitely something to consider. And a pop-up green screen is like $40. It's
yes, Simon, on that question, maybe we'll do this last one, and then Cindy, I'll leave it to you about whether because I know you've got some other great tips, but I think we're moving into the sort of equipment sort of conversation a little bit. And I guess you would be an advocate, obviously, of people coming to speak to KitPlus about things like this. But if they wanted to generate their own content, what would you say were the minimum requirements kit-wise?
Well, I've got a prop now.
You just so happen to have there.
I love it. I love it.
Hold on a second. Let me plug in my power, because that disappears. So this is this is all you need, really. So this is it's a Sennheiser MKE40 interview kit. Now I did it's a microphone with an iPhone. Job done. The camera on your iPhone. And of course, you can have the iPhone facing that way or the other way if you want the really good camera at the back. And that's the big advantage with this microphone is it's a shotgun microphone, so it's very directional. So it's going to pick up noise coming this way, not around the back. And the cameras on your iPhones are great too. So if you go to kitplus.com/mic, MIC, I did a review of one of these at the top of a very windy hill, and it was to demonstrate the wind abilities, the difference between having an amazing mic versus using the internal mic of your iPhone. And so this, except for the iPhone or the phone which you probably got, this is £199, which is about $220 ish. And that would just sit there and you talk into it. Again, you might want to consider what platform you're using. You might want to film in portrait, in which case this will flip into portrait mode. If you're doing TikTok type stuff, you'll be wanting to film in portrait. If you're doing YouTube stuff, you want to film in landscape. So it's definitely worth, again, this goes back to the preparation. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to, and who are you aiming these videos at? So you can edit in such a way, I guess, that you can multi-purpose for both, but it's better to film in the orientation of how you plan to use it if you can. So you could use that. I've also got, and then once you're happy with that, or you're not happy with your iPhone, just before I leave that, the really cool thing about on the iPhone is you can download a prompter app which will scroll up the screen. So not only are you looking at your phone, but it's actually reeling up. And if you look at that, if you look at kitplus.com/Mike, hopefully it makes you think I know everything about this microphone, but I'm actually reading a script off my iPhone. And so, but ultimately, if the content's there and it gives your audience a perception that you know what you're talking about, then that's what we're trying to do, really. But again, I think it comes back to the type of people that we're talking to now, making videos. You don't need a script because you know what you're talking about. You know your product. You're passionate about it, and I think as soon as you start to read a script, the passion just goes, and you're literally in robot mode, and people want to engage with a person.
Simon, just a question from my own experience of these sort of things. I mean, you're passionate about the subject matter, but there's no harm, really, is there, in finding a friendly colleague or partner or something that you can rehearse your I mean, because when you voice something, I think you then find out what is communicating, and you can. Would you agree with that, if possible, ahead of doing it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I do agree, but I also think it's another barrier to you actually getting this stuff out there. I've always been an 80% person. That
yes,
as soon as something's 80% good enough, get rid of it.
80-20.
80-20. And it's the same as, I mean, somebody told me donkeys years ago, when I was very new to business, and the best bit of advice they ever gave me was, when you're happy that someone else can do something 80% as well as you think you can do it, let them do it.
That's so good.
Because otherwise you're never going to delegate, you're never going to grow.
Yeah.
And the chances are they'll do it better than you anyway, just not the same as you.
It's more than good enough answer, Simon, I think.
I think we're going to wrap. We're going to keep this thought. We're going to have you take it to your speaker room. And for everybody on the call, and even any of you watching the replay, we're going to get Simon's top 10 in the complete list and post it to you, as well as you'll see in the chat, we posted the link to his mic. So just to super fast recap here, know your purpose, don't overthink it. Imagine you're talking to your grandma who works at NASA or doesn't. Think about your recording, editing, and sharing. I want to say, maybe you don't need to edit, just 80% get it done. But then when you get to editing, great. Do some batching. 223 is the number. That's the duration that people love. Think about your scheduling and your continuity, but we'll wrap that up in a tidy package and get it to you. So thank you. And over to you, Neil, because now we're going to go to the speaker rooms. Let's keep talking.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Simon, thanks so much, but we want to move you to your speaker room there. Please continue the conversation with Simon. He's got a load of other great points to share with you, some tips, and I'm sure we'll be very happy to continue this conversation. Cindy has a room as well. I have a room if you want to find out more about the live platform we're using here, but obviously Simon's the main draw here. So all you do is either click on his room here, you'll be invited to open Zoom, leave this current Zoom interface and join, and you'll automatically be in Simon's room. I'm going to stick around here for a bit if you have any trouble moving. You can also use this sidebar here. Just click on, there we are, Simon's room. Same thing will happen, and we'll see you there in a few minutes. But I'll stick around in case anybody has any navigation issues. Thanks so much. Let's keep talking.
Thank you, Simon. You're a gem. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. I'll
See you there in a minute, Simon. Thanks so much.
Right.